Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, I believe things happen for a reason. And what we're going to talk about today, I had this conversation with a friend of mine, Jeff, at the gym about an hour ago. And it's about the way we act now and what causes that. And it actually many times goes back to your past, even your childhood. And it's considered a trauma, even though we hear the word trauma and we think of something very deep. Well, it might not necessarily be, but it is traumatic, causing you to act the way you do nowadays. Maybe have beliefs that you can't succeed, or situations in relationships. For all of that, there's hypnotherapy, and we're gonna pull back the curtain on all of that today and learn more about it. Hania Wilkos is with us. She is an amazing hypnotherapist and has all the insight. Welcome back. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we're talking about this, because this is a game changer for a lot of us. Once you realize what's going on and what caused it in your past, would you say the challenges, the most of the challenges that we deal with nowadays all come from our past?
Most of them. And we keep creating. In previous meetings we had, I talked about how we constantly live in the effect of our previous thoughts and feelings. Thought is a form, and the feeling is the fuel for that form, for that vision to come to physicality. So we live in a cause, in a karma. It's the cause and effect, shorter karma. So yes, we do. We create things right now, and we also live from the past. It could be from this lifetime, it could be from the past lifetimes. And regardless if we believe in past lives or not, reincarnation, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's already in your soul memory, and it comes back in this lifetime.
I'm on board with all of that. The past life, I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I need to research it more and get even more comfortable with it. But I'm getting closer to feeling that, yeah, that's
Have a session.
then there's
Have
that.
a session.
I've never done. I've had hypnotherapy, very successful, quite a few times, but have never had call it a past life session. And is that what you would need? Is it really called a past life regression if it's hypnotherapy and you're taken back to a past life?
Yes, past life. I would even argue with the life before, because it's constant, it's happening to our soul. So I would say anything that happened even a moment ago, it's a past life because we lived that moment. So It's a past continuance of the past life. However, when we have our body die, then we take a new body. The death is an opportunity to recreate yourself and go into the new life, new body, and have different experiences. The way we come to this lifetime, to each lifetime, and the so-called lessons we have to learn, that's what I disagree with, because I think it's a simulation, but that's my belief based on my practice, on what I have experienced and saw in sessions, hypnotic sessions. And in my belief is that the movie Matrix is a documentary. It's not a sci-fi movie.
I am going to watch that again with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I want you to even break it down clearer. Maybe there's some that haven't seen The Matrix. What is your belief? Is it that before we were born, we may have come from a past life and carried those things with us, that baggage, karma, all of that? Is that possible?
Yes. The way I see it from hypnosis, and the hypnosis that I do is really deep, because I go into the cause of what happened. And usually in a hypnosis, the soul, I connect with the spirit. We call it spirit, soul, essence. We go to the cause of whatever we're working on. If it's a trauma, usually the soul takes me to the most traumatic situation that they are stuck in, and some you can get them stuck in something that happened in the previous lives or in this one. So then we have to digest that and put on in pieces and find out how it happened. What was the emotion of the person when it was going through? So the soul has the chance to dissect the entire situation that happened. Let's say, give me an example, any example, because I keep saying rape because I have a lot of rape victims or molestation. So it just looks at the whole situation that it happened, or the accident, or the cancer, any kind of sickness, or breaking of the relationship, that, and you dissect the entire situation, how it happened before to this point when it happened, and then what's happening after also creates our so-called future, whatever we're going to go through. So if you're in a trauma, how long you're going to stay in it? Each time you go back to that trauma with your memory, that's why the brain is behind. That's where the memory is stored in our computer in this lifetime. Each time you go back to the trauma, you make that connection stronger and stronger and stronger. So it takes 60 days to cement that experience, and it takes 21 days to neutralize. And when you neutralize, that's when the healing comes, because you're neutralizing through new belief system, which you talk to yourself, and you create a new program that you're healed, that you healed the trauma. When you have the understanding of how it came about, how it happened, and you release that, forgiveness comes, compassion comes. You forgive. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from judgment and punishment. And when you free yourself from judging the other side, the whole event, and you don't want to punish, okay, I'll show you, or I'll do this and that, for it, which is the eye for an eye.
Right.
Okay. So when you do that, when you have that forgiveness, then you free. And when you free, you gain your power back. You're not a victim of something that happened a long time ago. You're actually empowered with your own, because you have your own set of beliefs. If you are very careful and you observe your thoughts and the situations in your life, you can write down all your programs and you can release them. You can neutralize them. So it takes 21 days. But if you think about, we have a lot of programs. So in the hypnosis, we go through few situations, or sometimes if we go through the one that is very deep, very traumatic, we can release the rest by understanding, because you are in a place where you can see everything, you can feel, you can see every single lifetime, the situations, you can dive in and you can dissect and analyze any situation, and you're going to come to the conclusion that there are basically the same vibration, energy vibration, that they are the same, on the same vibration, and that's how they came into creation, because they were attracted. They attract like a magnet certain events, and we allow that. We had no power because we gave our power away. But when you gain that power back, then you empowered, and it doesn't. You break the cycle, and you can see in other situations which are not as dramatic, how it can affect you in the future, and you basically change that. You stop yourself, because we all react. I react. but how long you're going to react, how long you're going to stay in that mode of anger or disappointment or whatever the situation is that you're going through, the experience.
So, question here based on what you said, Hania, and I've never heard that before, but what I'm gathering from you is that picture you have a bag of trauma, bad experiences, whatever that is governing your life now. Through hypnosis, we opened up the bag, we found this one trauma, and it was a big one. And we dealt with it, reprogrammed, whatever. But the other ones in there, we're able to access them and wipe them out with the one big one because they have similar vibrations. They could be different traumas. They could be something completely not even related, but because you got rid of the big one and it had similar vibration, we got rid of the other ones. Does that sound, am I getting what you said?
Pretty much, yes, because you can see in the hypnosis, in the session, I ask the soul to analyze if we're going to the emotional body. If you are taking by your emotions can rule your life. So you better get a hold of your emotions.
Sure.
And I prove to the client that these emotions created this, and that. And I said, so let's do a little test. Let's play with that emotion. So let's take this emotion out, remove it completely. And we can, like I say, okay, we can put it in a basket or something or a safe. And it's just locked. You can always take it back. You're not going to lose that trauma. And now I want you to look at your body. How does it feel? And always is lighter. The first thing they said, lighter. I said, okay, so you have more of those low vibrational emotions, which is anything that we call it bad. Okay, so let's just remove them all and put it to that safe. You can always go back to it. How do you feel now? Oh, wonderful, lighter. I keep, and they just describe it. And I said, okay, would you like to open that safe and take those emotions back? No. I said, well, we're going to have to deal with that because you have to learn how it came about and what was the chain reaction from that one event, what happened. And that's how panic attacks happened. You go to the very first time when it happened. When trauma happened, you go to it's the same thing, regardless what the trauma is. If it's a PTSD, it could be from a soldier, or it could be from somebody that went through a very dramatic event. And that event might not be dramatic for you and me, but it was for that, let's say, child, because the child was embraced in love and happiness. And all of a sudden, something came from outside and traumatized him, and the child wasn't ready for it. So it's going to imprint, and they're going to have the fear. It didn't happen to them, but they heard so many times that it imprinted in their brain as a program. So then in the hypnosis, we go through the programs and we start pulling out the programs on the energetic level. And then after the hypnosis, there is a homework, because hypnosis is wonderful. I mean, it's a great tool to help yourself to speed up all those processes of clearing yourself, those shadows, the bad things that we don't want, those shadows. And then at home, you have to go and start reprogramming yourself, saying all the wonderful things about yourself. The first thing is you have to love yourself and you have to care for yourself in order to be able to love and care for others. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love another person. It's superficial. It's mind love. It's just you love their body, but you fall in love, you love their body, they're going to get older. Women are going to get parts soggy, wrinkles, gray hair, spots, you name it.
Or when a situation comes up that you need to deal with, if you don't have a true love connection, it's not going to go well.
No, exactly.
If in the perfect world with mutual love, real love, you'll work it out together. I want to go back to something you said a while ago about past life.
Mm-hmm.
So Some traumas are from our current life. A lot of them are childhood. Some are from potentially past lives, happened before we were even born in this lifetime.
Mhm.
In your experience, what percentage would you say are from a past life? And I'm talking about not one in our lifetime here. What percentage? And again, yeah, we're all ballparking, but I'm trying to get a feel for this, where it might have come from a lifetime or two, whatever, before. What do you think?
I think it's 50-50. In some individuals could be more and others less. You have, I had a person that had a very low libido, and we just worked on attractive, very attractive woman, and she just could have a hard time being in a relationship and be intimate. So we worked on the libido, and that was in a past life when she was put into a brothel, and she against her will. She didn't know she can empower herself. She didn't know she could say no in that way. I mean, or look for the way to get out. But that was addressed, and she was healed.
And we'll
And
look at that. And this is all confidential. This is anonymous. We don't know who you're talking about.
right, I mean, I'm just giving you examples.
No, I want to take that example and put a little microscope on it. So you took her back in hypnosis, and the brothel situation was before this lifetime. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Um, how did that come to? How did that come up in the hypnotherapy session? As you're asking questions or you're talking, she kind of revealed it, and then you were like, "Oh, okay, we got something here."
We went, your soul always takes you to the strongest event, the strongest emotional event that happened, that the soul carries. So it happened that she was in a life that the soul took us to, she was a slave. And her father, master, because the father was also the master, sold her, his own daughter, to a brothel.
And this all came up in the hypnotherapy session.
Yes.
Did she? And I'm looking at this and trying to bring this up for those that don't know how a hypnotherapy session may work. Um, she brought these things up, or did you happen to see? She just happened to say what was going on back then under hypnotherapy.
We're going to the cause,
Mm-hmm.
the law of cause and effect. So her effect was in this lifetime. The cause for this particular situation happened in the previous life.
Wow.
So the soul takes us to the cause. And then she's able to see also the energies around her. It's avoidable if we would have that third eye, so-called, open. And in hypnosis, that's what it is. Hypnosis, it's not some kind of a voodoo. It's like meditation. It's like you start praying. People start praying and they go in kind of like a trance of praying, and then they have visions, this and that, because they hypnotize themselves. People are afraid of hypnosis because they think they're unconscious. They're very conscious. So that was with her. But there was another example, difficulty with learning language. There was a girl that had a problem with learning English. I learned English on my own. I didn't go to school here. I didn't have time for that. So I easily learn languages. I don't know how is that created, never analyzed that, but just an example, she had a really difficult time learning
Maybe back to a
English.
past life where you're able to learn languages. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
In a past life, it took us into the part I'm sorry, that was German, not English. She had a hard time learning German, and she in a past life, this was during the World War II. She hated the Germans so much because of the war that she suppressed the learning. I'll never speak that language. When you say something with emotion, conviction and emotion, it's like putting a seed in a good soil. it's going to give you fruit. So we came, and she did not have very traumatic experience in the World War II, but her family did. And that was an effect on her life,
Sure.
on her psyche. It's just like I did with in Poland with Russia, with communism. And when I started learning metaphysics, I said, I hate Russians. And I did not, and I don't hate, it's just a word. And my teacher asked me, so give me one person, Russian person, that did something wrong to you. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, nobody, but they this and that. And then I came to and she told me, well, so why do you hate them? It didn't have an effect on you the way you say you hate them and their actions. I said, well, yeah, well, Bolsheviks did what Bolsheviks did after World War II with parts of Europe, and imposed the communism on people. But why should I blame the entire nation? It's usually the people in power that create certain things, not the individuals. So that was completely wiped out from my so-called not liking certain nations. And that I look at the individuals and I practice loving everybody. I might not love their actions, but I love them because I know what they go through. They don't know. They don't know themselves. So how are they going to make a positive change in their life when they don't know where that anger comes from? And in the past life, when you go and you see the chain reaction. You see the chain reaction. I was in Egypt at the felines when there was the Sphinx. Times when the felines were in power in Egypt. It was centuries ago. And that had an influence on me in this lifetime. And it was they're drawn to Egypt, they're drawn to a lion, to the point that my Chinese zodiac sign is a tiger. And it's all connected.
Let's do that again. Your Chinese zodiac sign is a what?
A water tiger.
So am I.
But my our Western horoscope, it's an Aquarius. It's also water related. It's not a water, but it's a water barrier.
Right.
So you think there's no connection? There is connection. The only thing is we have to go back to the past to see the chain reaction. And when you have that understanding, anything that happens to you after the session, you're going to say, okay, if I do this, that's going to happen, because you can see, you can feel, you can go back. That's why if you want another session, you have another session, you say, I want to address this and that, so I have more understanding. Or you can just dive in to the metaphysical knowledge, which is in every single holy book or religious book. The same laws, just a different story.
So the woman that you dealt with that had the brothel situation in a past life, how many sessions did it take to improve her intimacy challenges?
Oh, just one.
Wow.
Just one. This is not a process of, rethinking and redoing it. You just don't revisit. What for? If it's healed, it's healed. It's just like you would go back to you had a wound, and now it's all nice, just a little bit red, but then you want to see if anything is there, and you open it again.
Right. There's no
For
reason.
what? If it's healed, it's
Right.
healed. No reason. It's
Exactly.
just like you would eat a dinner and threw the rest in the garbage because you didn't use it, it got bad, and you would go to the garbage and wanted to eat the yesterday dinner that it's in the trash. It's like when it's dealt with, it's dealt with. When something happens in our life that we don't like, analyze, go through the emotion, stop yourself, say, okay, that's enough. I got to move on, and say, what can I learn from it? And come to the opposite emotion. If it was crying and whatever, then go to the happiness and tell yourself, and basically tell yourself, I love myself too much to allow myself to continue in that mood, because then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes the program, and then it becomes a problem.
you've made a lot of stuff clear today, Hania, about the whole process. And we covered a lot in a short period of time. We're out of time. How do we reach out to you? How do we learn more about all of this?
You can go to my website at hwilkos.com. You can find me on Facebook. If you Google my name, Hania Wilkos, you can find all kinds of ways to get in touch with me. But on my website, you can email me and set up an appointment.
Yeah, this stuff works. And I didn't share with you, we were talking about forgiveness, and briefly here, it is so powerful to forgive. Doesn't mean you condone what somebody else did, but you're forgiving for yourself. And I've actually had hypnotherapy before we met for just that. Unfortunately, that session ended early because of a tech issue, but I still got a benefit out of it. And there's so many, and I bring that up because there's so many things that you can do hypnotherapy for. And who would have thought this woman that had intimacy challenges goes back to a past life? Amazing. Hania, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.